As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. Remember the Game is brought to you by my website, abcomedy.net. As you may or may not know, I'm a comedian by night. And as much as I love talking about old video games, telling jokes is how I actually pay my bills. So please check out my website. In addition to old episodes of this podcast, you'll find my blog, videos of my stand-up, all of my upcoming shows, and my contact information. If you need a comedian for your next fundraiser, corporate event, house party, whatever you got going on, hit me up. Again, it's abcomedy.net. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe to it. Please leave us a good review. And most importantly, please tell a friend. I'd really appreciate it. There'll be a new episode every single Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for the support. I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game, my retro gaming podcast, where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about a video game from back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you guys so much for listening, coming back, first timers, whatever, welcome. Thanks for downloading this thing. This week, episode 39. This is a big one. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was saving this one for episode 40. I'm trying to spread out the really heavy-hitting fucking iconic games so that I'm not just burning them all in the first 50 episodes of this thing. But next week for episode 40, it's WrestleMania week, so we're going to wade back into the wrestling pool. I've got one more wrestling game recorded, ready to go. So this one got bumped up a week. For episode 39, we are going to The Legend of Zelda for the NES, one of the, if not the most influential video game of all time. I think it's right up there with Super Mario Bros. It's fucking Zelda, right? Everyone that plays video games has played a Zelda game. Maybe not this one, but you've played one of them minimum. And they all fucking started here, buddy, with this one right here from way back in 1986. So that's what we're talking this week. I'm not going to waste too much time before I get into it. I know I fucking say that every week, blah, 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 blah. We're on Facebook, and we're on Twitter, and we're on Instagram. Twitter and Instagram, it's at Remember the Game. Facebook, it's facebook.com/Remember the Game. And I know I plug those every week. The reason I'm bringing them up specifically right now is I have had some messages from people in the last week, and it's been really fucking cool getting messages from people that I don't know. I know a lot of my friends listen to this, but to get messages from people you've never met is such a cool thing to know that other people are appreciating this. So I just want to give a couple quick shout outs to people that have reached out to me on the social medias. On Facebook, Joshua from Alberta, here in Alberta, reached out to me. Just said he just found the Remember the Game on Spotify last week. Is the first podcast he's ever really got into. He's really digging it. He's burning through the backlog. He's appreciative that we gave Final Fantasy IX some love, which it fucking deserves. And he said that he also has been one of the geeks that yells at his phone when we get a detail wrong about a game, which I love because I love that passion. So, dude, Joshua, thank you so much for reaching out. I really, really appreciate it. And then also just this morning, I got a message, dude. I'm sorry if I fuck up your name. From Toddy, and he is. So the message said, "Dude, I was looking for a retro gaming podcast and came across a few, but fuck me, man, yours is sick. Keep up the good work. Can't wait to listen to them all in future episodes. Love from Australia." So that is like, I don't, fuck you guys. That is rad. So Toddy, thank you so much for reaching out. And then we got a couple more new reviews on iTunes over the last couple weeks as well. Keep them coming. Love it. From a whole bunch of random letters without a single vowel in it. So I'm not going to try to guess who that was. And then another review, 5 stars from Ben Drinkin. That's a sweet name on iTunes. I recently found this podcast, and being a nerd, I loved it right away. It's fun to reminisce about childhood, and the host's passion makes me go play the game he covers that week when I get home from work. Thanks for giving me a new podcast to subscribe to, and I'll definitely come see you live if you come to Vancouver. Because like you said in the top, I don't know if you guys listen to that little blurb every week. I'm a comedian, so if you're ever around, please come see me. Go to my website. But to all you guys, thank you so much for the messages. I would keep doing this thing even if nobody listened to it, just because I really enjoy talking video games. But to get some of these messages from complete strangers just out of the blue really, really means a lot to me. So thank you guys all so much. That's fucking awesome. And if you like the show and you're listening to this, leave me a review, please, on social media, or shoot me a message on something on one of those platforms or whatever. I love reading them. I love giving shout outs because at least I know that means someone's listening to the podcast. And that's pretty cool. Thanks, you guys. Really, that's fucking rad. So with all that said and all the circle jerking around the love and everything, I'm going to get back to the video game. Like I said this week, Legend of Zelda for the NES. Everyone has played it. Everyone knows it. I shouldn't say everyone's played it. I never played it. As a kid, we never owned this game. I played it very little at a couple of my buddies' places. The first Zelda game I really got into was Link to the Past. Or maybe Link's Awakening, one or the other. Like, that was the generation I got into. I kind of missed the NES ones. And then, Legend of Zelda has been out on fucking everything. I had it on the 3DS. I think I had it on my Wii from the Virtual Console. It was on the NES Classic. And then it came out on the Switch. Pardon me, sorry guys, that's my phone, because that's how good I am at this job. It came out on my Switch on the Nintendo Online thing. And that was finally when I fired it up and played it. Decided, you know what, I'm going to sit down and play this fucking game. And this game holds up, man. Even today, it's got its flaws. Obviously, it's not the master. Well, it is a masterpiece. It's not as it's not. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't even say it's not as fun. Maybe it's not quite as fun to play as some of the more modern games. It's obviously no Breath of the Wild or anything like that. But dude, like, this game is still fun as all hell. If it came out as an indie. Like, imagine this wasn't Zelda. It was just like the exact same game, but it wasn't Legend of Zelda. It was just some random adventure game. I would buy this game and fucking adore it. That's awesome. So this game is a masterpiece. It's incredible. Easily one of the, if not the most influential game of all time. I'm pumped to be firing this episode up. I think this is going to get a lot of downloads because everybody knows this game and everybody loves this game. Except you Zelda haters. And if you hate Zelda 2, then you're more than entitled to being a Zelda hater. But if you hate this game, something's wrong with you. This game's beautiful. So that's it. Honestly, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to get to my chat with David. Just quickly, what I've been playing over the last 7 days, I'm still completely hooked on Tetris 99 on my Switch. That game is so... I love Tetris. I want to do an episode of this about Tetris, but I just don't know if there's 30 minutes of stuff to say about that game. But if you want to Switch and you have Nintendo Online, check out Tetris 99. It is free with your online membership. It is Battle Royale Tetris, and it is so awesome. I just got my 30th win. It took me just under 300 games to get 30 wins. I have no idea if that's good or not, but I'm goddamn proud of it. I'm almost done playing through Kirby's Adventure. Been playing through that on my Switch as well on the Nintendo Online. One of those ones I owned as a kid that I love. And that's been a lot of fun. And then I'm still plugging through Doom, the remake. Well, not the remake, but the new Doom. I guess it's Doom 4, Doom 2016, Doom 2017, whatever. Playing it on Switch. Started out really fun. I'm starting to get bored of it, but it's just Doom. You know, the storyline doesn't even matter. You're some dude with a lot of guns that goes to hell and kills demons. It's okay. I don't know. Yoshi, the new Yoshi game comes out this Friday, and I'm pretty excited for that. I'm going to pick that up. I think that'll be my new go-to. It's one of those ones I can play with my girlfriend. So that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. So good enough. I think I've rambled enough. What are we at here? 7 minutes. 7 minutes of me basically stroking my own dick and reading people's reviews of my podcast. And if you hate my podcast, leave me a review. I'll read that. I mean, still leave me 5 stars, please, because I think the 1-star reviews hurt. But say something bad about it. I'll fucking read it. I'm not above that. I don't care. Anyone that knows me in real life, I shit on myself all the time. Okay, shut up, Adam. Good enough. We're talking Legend of Zelda. This game originally came out February 21st, 1986. So it is 33 years old. Hats off to one of the greatest video games of all time. Cue the music. And check this out. My buddy David Ray, comedian and improver extraordinaire, and myself take a great trip down memory lane and visit Hyrule as we talk The Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Here we go. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. All right, let's get this David. My buddy David Ray is back in the house. My my fellow NES junkie. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for coming over.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about this week's episode because, like, when I came up with the idea for this podcast, I had lots of people interested in coming on, but everybody wants to talk about like the gems.
64.
No, like the Chrono Triggers, like
Yeah.
fucking GoldenEye, like
Yeah.
Tony Hawk, like the biggest franchise, the biggest games ever.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we have to do these little titles, and I'm worried that no one's going to know who they are, and the game is not going to get any downloads. And this is one of those games. Like, I don't know if anyone's
Nobody knows this game at all.
This week we were talking the original, the one that started it all, The Legend of Zelda.
The one that was on CDI.
Old school, man. Fuck the old.
Do you know the CDI game?
I do. Yeah. Did you ever play any of those?
No.
No, I don't know if anybody ever did fucking play those games.
Yeah.
I've seen clips of them, like on like Angry
That's
Video
all
Game
you need.
Nerd and stuff, and I watch it. I'm like, that looks terrible. This is the original. This is. I mean, I would say, if the Legend, I think, I still would argue that Mario is the most recognizable video game mascot of all time. And you could probably argue that Pokemon is the most valuable at this point.
Yep.
But I think Zelda is the most iconic, if that makes sense. Does that
specifically Link?
Like Link, and just like I mean, if you were to take all of the average scores of all the games in a franchise and add them up and take an average, this might be number one. Like, it's just so beloved by its fan base. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think of critical scores. I guess Zelda would probably. There's a few of the ones like say on the 3DS that may not.
There's a couple of the freak games.
Yeah,
but
the like the mainline series on like the consoles, the home consoles. Yeah,
they're so iconic. You know,
Yeah.
if you go to Metacritic, we were looking this up when we did the Ocarina of Time episode a while ago. I think 2 of the top 5 all-time scored games on Metacritic are Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Like, it's just, And I'm full disclosure before we get too far into this episode, I like the Zelda games. I've played most of them. Yeah. Not my favorite franchise. They're fine. Yeah. But I don't get caught up in the timeline and the lore. I just they're fun, but that's it for me.
Yeah.
Yourself? Are you diehard?
I like them, and I've played most of them. I haven't played the last couple actually, Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, only because I haven't had like the newer system. Yeah. I'm stuck in the Xbox realm right now, so but I definitely want to play Breath of the Wild, because from what I hear is that I love that idea of the exploring aspect, which is what you find in this first game, and what I think this first game does so well is like that philosophy of, you know, go and explore, like everything's open to you right off the start. Which is a rarity in like the Nintendo realm, especially in this era. Where it comes from.
Agreed. Know? Yeah, it's I mean, the Zelda games have always had an aspect of exploration to them and stuff, for sure. But it's I thought
like
that
an open world kind of a
But I thought that myself when I played through Breath of the Wild when it first came out. It took me forever to admit it was as good as everyone made it out to be. Just because I was like, okay,
you want to be contrarian,
and then I was probably
can't be that good,
right? Like, I mean, it was so good that like my girlfriend and I bought a second Switch so that she could play because she was playing on mine all the time. It was so good, and I had very minimally played the NES one. I played as a kid. I never owned it. I just would play it occasionally at my friends' houses and stuff like that. I finally went back and played through the NES one about 3 months ago, and it really does feel like an 8-bit Breath of the Wild. Like I was really just blown away by the amount of exploration and the freedom you had in this game.
Because you could accidentally wander into the 7th dungeon randomly.
You could
if you're not careful.
and probably get worked. I know there are people that could beat it with 3 hearts without getting a sword, blah, blah, blah. 99% of us get destroyed.
Normal people who have lives to get back
to. And now, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, like this is literally 2 nerds sitting in a room talking about video games to put on the internet, and we're telling you don't have a life if you could beat Zelda without a sword and 3 hearts. You freaks. I'll tell you, David, like if someone was to play this game for the first time now, like a kid that had never played it when we were kids,
they would not. They would give up so quickly.
They would be like, "This sucks. It's hard. I don't know where the fuck we're supposed to go." It is.
You might not get your sword off the start of the game.
You might not because it's so easy to. You could. It's not easy to miss. It's right fucking there. But like you can miss the sword and just walk away. Having said that, dude, like this game, what did I say? Came out in 1986.
86.
For a game to have launched in 1986 and be this big and this open with this much freedom, it's like Nintendo literally thought of everything you could do in this game and made sure there was a way to do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You could walk around, you get a hold of a candle, you can walk around and burn trees with your candle and burn bushes with your candle. You can walk around bombs and blow up holes in rocks. Yeah. And that all seems so commonplace now, but like, dude, this game came out shortly after the original Super Mario Brothers, right? And that game is a great game, but it is so basic. You know, you run from left to right and you jump on bad guys. Yeah. Then you take it to this, and it's so big. Yeah. It blew me away playing it in 2019. Yeah. I was like that they were able to do this on this game, you know?
Well, and even some of the core mechanics of the game now are still around, like starting with 3 hearts and like, you know, getting the Master Sword. Like there's certain elements that repeat through all of them that, you know, when done right, it's such fertile ground to go from, and it's all established in that first one.
Yeah, it's really incredible, man. Like I'll tell you, like I mean, my favorite Zelda game is still Link to the Past.
Yeah, Link to the Past is so good.
It's so good. But even that one, I don't feel is as open world as this one is, because you needed to get items.
You need to get certain items first,
right?
Yeah.
Whereas this one, like you said, you can pretty well get anywhere.
There's only a few exceptions. Like you need the raft to get to the one dungeon, and
but
you can. I think you can make it to most places, barring like the last dungeon. I think.
Yeah, like it's really. It's almost too open world. Like I can't imagine trying to beat this game prior to the internet. Because like when I played through it there a couple months ago, I had to look up a few. I tried my best not to look stuff up because I think that's where the game is at its best.
Yeah.
But I would hit a point where I would just get frustrated walking around in circles. And I was like, where the fuck do I have to go? Like, where is this?
I need some sort of, I need to talk to a person.
Please, like something. The idea of playing this back in the 80s when you could, the only way to know where to go would be a guide, a buddy, or to call the Nintendo hotline, maybe, and pay
$5.
Yeah, which my mom and dad would have never let me do because it was so expensive. I wonder if at any point when Shigeru was designing this game and they were making it, like, I wonder if they were like, this isn't gonna work. Like, this is too big. This is too broad.
No, I don't think so.
Like, I hope they didn't think that, but I wonder.
I think it's just such a natural, like, it's a big old adventure. Like, I think they're probably pretty excited when the concept.
It was like nothing that had ever come out.
Yeah.
You know, again, people are going to play it now, and I understand why you're like, yeah, okay. But, like, this had never happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A game this big, I don't think. A game this big and open.
No. Not this open. Everything was linear. Like, a lot of, like, the Mario Brothers style of, like, okay, you go from level to level to level, like in this straightforward path, is like what most games are. Like, I can't think of, like, an overworld was not super common.
No.
Of, like, you can any direction kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, I think there was something very special about it. And it's even influenced other games, because we were kind of briefly talking about Star Tropics off mic.
Yeah.
And Star Tropics, which came out later for the system, takes a lot of its cues from the Zelda game.
Totally.
Yeah, like,
totally.
3 hearts and like it's the open world style.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Star Tropics, like, in some ways, Star Tropics is almost like like an HD Zelda with a yo-yo instead of a sword. Yeah, like, there are definitely a lot of nuances, and even like the going from screen to screen in the dungeons and stuff like that. But, like, anyway, this isn't. Well, I'd like to do one about Star Tropics. We'll do that because I like that game.
Yeah.
But this game is just. Maybe you're right. I would love to know what their thoughts were.
They also had some of the toughest fights probably before Breath of the Wild, from what I understand. Once again, because Breath of the Wild, you can get into some tough fights. But like that first game, you could. There were some rooms where it'd be a bunch of guys with swords that could take down half your health.
Dude. Those fucking. There's gonna be a Zelda nerd yelling at me because I don't know their names. I don't know if they're minotaurs or what, but those fucking half horse, half lion, those blue ones that take like 12 hits to kill with the first sword.
But they kill you so quick.
Oh god! And you get into rooms where you have to kill like 6 of them before you can move on.
Yeah. That's where I got stuck in my most recent rendition when I was playing, like, on the Wii or whatever they released it for. Did you know one of the monsters in it, I forget what the thing's name is. It hasn't, like, continued on past, I think, this first game. It's like a rabbit creature with, like, large ears and everything.
Yep.
So, like, originally, the original design was that there was going to be a microphone built into the controller, and you were supposed to shout into your microphone, and it would, like, stun them or whatever. You can kill them, but of course they took that out. So
I saw. You know the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Yeah,
everybody knows the Angry Video Game Nerd. He does, like, Let's Plays now with his other guy, and I was watching them play it, and they were playing the Famicom version that had a microphone in it on the controller or something, and they were doing that. They could yell and kill that thing.
Yeah,
it's that. Does that not seem like one of the first, Nintendo does all their weird little things they do that they use for like 3 games and then never fucking come back to? Like, seems like such a cool idea, and then they never did anything with it.
Well, and that to me is like one of those tricky, like, hey, they don't tell you that this is what you should do.
Right.
Like, I'm going back to, like, Star Tropics. Star Tropics had another thing. I'll save it for there, but there was, like, a thing in that game where you had to do this thing that you would never conceive of.
Yeah.
To progress in the game. So, like, that's, like, one of these tricky things of, like, why would you think to yell into your controller?
Right. Yeah, there was one of the Castlevanias where you had to kneel against a wall for, like, 10 seconds or something to get through. Where you're just like, how the fuck would anyone ever know this?
Why do you think I would do that?
I guess, but at least that was like, you didn't need to do it to beat it or anything.
No,
right?
no,
it was it blew me away. Like, to this day, like the exploration can be a little frustrating because you don't know where to go. You have to look some stuff up.
Yeah.
But like the gameplay is tight. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like the world is so much fun to just explore. Like I literally would log in. I would turn it on and just play for an hour and just walk around, like just grinding rupees and just trying to see what I could find.
Well, and that was kind of the nice thing too. Of if you did get stuck, it's kind of like, no, I'm just going to screw this. I'm going to leave this dungeon for a little while and see if I can like come back with more resources by like exploring. And
as a kid, like God, I wish did you own this game as a kid?
no, this is another one I had borrowed from my friends.
Yeah, I wish that I had owned this as a kid because
Yeah.
this feels like a game you could get for Christmas. Like if you were one of those families where you got one game for Christmas, you could get this and you'd be good for 2 years. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there was so much to do. Like it's funny because now if you know where you're going, you could probably beat it in an hour, couple hours if you knew where you're going.
Well, the funny thing is, I was talking to one of my friends who was older than me, and he got this game for when it first came out as a Christmas gift or whatever it was. He told me he beat it like over the weekend when it first came out. And this guy was like a smart guy, so like I like trust him, and he would have been older. He would have been at an age that's like, oh, he probably like his mind was just young enough yet also old enough to like just
Right.
take this and beat it really quickly. I can believe that happening, but like that's just wild to
Yeah,
me.
I couldn't imagine. I
haven't beat it to this day.
Right.
Yeah.
I played it in 2018 with the internet at my fingertips, and it took me like a month to fucking beat it. But I guess even if you could do that, like there's still so much to. Just because you beat it doesn't mean you found everything. You know, there's a ton
there's
of
also the
exploration.
plus game or whatever.
And there's a second game in it, right? Like that's just. I'll tell you, man. People can shit on Nintendo for all their weird ideas with their weird consoles and their marketing and all the weird things they do. And I think a lot of the criticism they get is completely deserved. But that said, Super Mario Bros. And in particular the original Legend of Zelda, they blazed a trail for games for the next 30 years that I don't even know if they. I think Miyamoto gets the credit he deserves because he's considered an absolute icon in gaming. But I don't know if Nintendo sometimes gets the tip of the hat they deserve. You know, people forget how trailblazing some of the games they made like
They
this
take
were.
big swings. Like
they really do, man.
like they don't necessarily think like Sony's and Xbox's approach is always like just put a more powerful graphics chip in there and like more processing power, which is all fine, but Nintendo's like, no, we're not going to play that game. We are going to try to make games more interesting.
Totally.
We're going to try new angles that we maybe haven't been considered before. And yeah, sometimes you're going to wind up with a Virtual Boy, but also at other times you wind up with like the Wii, with a motion sensing controllers that can do some interesting stuff, or like a Switch that you can take with you
anywhere. Yeah,
you know, like
this game, like 5 years before this game, people were playing like single screen games, like Donkey Kong, like Pac-Man, great games. But there's no story, there's no exploration. It's one screen. You're just trying to get as high a score as you can. Yeah, you know what I mean.
This one had probably the strongest story up until that point. Sure. Probably in a game. When did Mega Man come out? Was that after? I feel that came after.
I want to say 87, but I'm just guessing. But I think it was after. Yeah.
Like this idea of a story of like you got to go into all these dungeons, that there's like you get the sense of a world. Maybe Castlevania would be another.
Sure. But this just even that, like, to combine that story with incredible, like to me, the trifecta of this game and a lot of Zelda games, but this one is good gameplay. It's got tight, challenging gameplay. It's got a fun story to play with. I mean, it's not the most in-depth story ever, but there's a story to it that makes sense, that you know why you're doing what you're doing. And then just the sheer exploration and volume of it. You combine those three things, and it's unquestionable. If you made a list of the 10 most iconic video games of all time, this has to be on it. Yeah. Or maybe not iconic, but influential. Influential is probably a better term than iconic. Because
iconic would then go to like Ocarina.
Sure.
I think.
Which is overrated, but I'm not going to get into that right now. We're not going to do that. We're not talking. I like
Majora's Mask is better.
I've never played Majora's Mask. I've tried it twice and just couldn't get. I was like, I don't get it. I have to play it because I've had so many people say they want to do an episode about it on this podcast, and I'm like, dude, right now I literally would just sit here and be like, I don't get it. I gotta play it. I gotta play it. Well, then Nintendo, if you're listening to this, like I fucking know you are, how about you start putting Nintendo 64 games on your goddamn Switch so that we can play them, like you did with these. Okay. Get back to Zelda. Another thing this game did, and I don't remember another game doing it before this, and if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the first games to ever do it, is it had saves. Like it had a built-in battery, and you could save your game.
Yeah.
And like, which you would have had to. I can't even, passwords would have been impossible in this.
Yeah. Like, how would you keep track of everything like that? You know,
I don't think it'd be possible, you know.
You needed that.
Like, I mean, it's, you know what I'm playing right now is Metroid, the first NES Metroid.
Yeah.
Which, fuck, that game's hard.
Yeah.
But it's fun too, but I almost feel a similar sense to Zelda in the sense of the exploring and trying to figure where to go, but it doesn't have the saves. It's got these like massive fucking passwords. And like to have done that in the 80s where you have to write them down, you can't screenshot it, you got to write them down.
Yeah.
And then if you write down one wrong letter or number, you're completely boned.
Yeah.
No, this game absolutely needed a battery, you know. And I don't remember another game coming out with a battery before this, you know. Someone listening to this might yell at me and be like, yeah, it does have it. I'm trying to see if it did.
It would have to be a Nintendo game. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like another company. Like, Konami was not going to invent a cartridge with a, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you kind of need that. That sounds like a Nintendo innovation.
Yeah. Dude, it's crazy to see that like an original review of it gave it a 7.2 out of 10. That boggles my mind. Like that just because to this day it's fucking good. I'm like, that's what Zelda 2 deserves, not the original Zelda. I don't know, man. It's a great game.
I can see. You know what? I think why it would get a lower rating in that day is it's not the most action-packed kind of a game. It's like it's a little bit more low-key,
sure,
and it's super difficult in its own way.
I could see people playing like I could see because like this game was hyped. You know what I mean? Like I don't really remember it. I was like 2.5 years old when this game came out, but I'm sure this game was hyped. Like it's one of the greatest selling games on the NES's library. There's a reason. Like I'm sure it had some. I'm pretty sure that they were originally sending it out like with guides and shit because they were so worried about people getting lost and everything. I could see it running into a problem where like say you bought your kid who's like 4 or 5 a new Nintendo game for Christmas and you got him this one. Yeah. And after a few hours of playing it, he has no idea where to go. He's just dying over and over and over again. And he's like, well, this sucks. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Well, I'm even thinking of like older kids. One of the challenges to this game I could see, it's directionless. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really know where you're supposed to go.
Literally the first
you're
screen.
Exploring. Like,
yeah. That first screen, when you turn the game on, you're standing in like a field and there's a cave right there, which I guess some people wouldn't even know it's a cave. I guess by today's standards, it's pretty obvious. It's a black square on a wall. But I could see some, right. But I could see someone skipping it and you go down.
You could think it's like a pit.
Yeah.
You could think, oh, that's I die if I go in that square.
Yeah, if you didn't know, you know. So you get the sword. Say you don't. Say you do know it's a cave. You go in and you get your sword. You come out. You can go up, left, or right. Right away.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, and literally when I was playing it the other day or a couple months ago for the first time, I was like, I have no idea which of these. You just pick away and you just start fucking walking. You know what I mean? And like, you have no idea how strong the bad guys you're about to run into are, or if you're walking to a dead end, or.
Well, and like the idea that, well, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? And like, there's zero indication. Like that guy in the cave tells you nothing.
No, he just says, take this.
Here, take this.
Oh, thanks, man.
Did you know that in the original design, apparently you had an option. You can either take the sword or you could take the boomerang.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But then they're like, no, you need the sword.
Yeah,
just
you need a sword.
You need the sword.
Yeah, it's so I could understand how like it's like I think like I mean we'll give it a score at the end of the game, but like I think it's pretty universally well regarded now. But I could understand how at that point, especially being brand new, people are like, "What is this?"
Yeah, you wouldn't know how to tackle it. And so I could see a low rating coming because it's just like they don't tell you anything.
Yeah,
there's you have to stumble across everything, which is hard. Like compared to everything else that had probably been up to that point, where it's like even if it's just like move right and get to the end of the level, like you don't need any instruction to play Mario, for instance.
Yeah.
You figure that out.
And I think that, you know, and I'm like, and we'll stop blowing smoke up Nintendo's ass in a minute and get into the other aspects of the game. But like, I think Nintendo deserves, because if Nintendo had wanted to, I mean, they probably could have made this one like Zelda 2, but without a world map where you it's like that, you know, when you're going from left to right or right to left in Zelda 2, they probably could have just done that. Just made it, you just go from one way to the other, swing your sword at bad guys and get to the end of the and people would have been like, yeah, this is great. And instead they went like a whole different direction. I remember reading something about how Miyamoto was inspired, I don't know, maybe it was Pokemon. No, it was something about how he used to explore trees and caves and stuff as a kid.
That's it was Zelda.
Yeah,
and they were like talking about that in relation to Breath of the Wild, and that's why they're going back to that. But the original for Zelda.
Yeah, it was really like I really couldn't shake the feeling playing this and playing Breath of the Wild that it was just like a coming of age for the original Zelda. It was like, this is what if they had the means to make the original Zelda what Breath of the Wild was, this is what it would have been. Yes. You know what I mean? I feel like they finally did what they wanted to do. So I know we've already explained how you can get lost, and you will get lost, and you got to find stuff like that. That aside,
like there's even that one area where like the map, it's like the Lost Woods.
Oh yeah, where like it keeps going around in circles. Yeah,
until you have to. There's somebody that you talk to at some point that tells you the pattern that you have to take,
like north, east, south, or whatever. Yeah. There's two of those. There's like a forest in the bottom corner, and then there's a up at top on Death Mountain. There's one where you like if you keep walking up, it just keeps repeating, and you have to like one of the dungeons is up there, and you have to do something to get there. Yeah. So overwhelming, you know what I mean? Like I cannot fathom the concept of playing this game before the internet and we're not knowing where to go. I just can't.
Oh, that Lost Woods one would have been like maddening.
I would have given up. I know I would have. I would have said like, "Fuck this! I don't get it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm going back to Mario." The exploration aside, as fun as the exploration is, like the gameplay is tight, man. Mm-hmm. Like it's a little frustrating at times when the screen is full of bad guys that are just like
your shield is so useless.
The shield's completely useless, and there's no
you need it, but it's useless.
Yeah, and there's no real method to the bad guys' madness. They just randomly walk in directions. You know,
cannot predict.
So it's impossible to like sneak up on a guy.
I think that's where its weakness is. Actually, it's like some of the combat is too finicky. Like
agreed.
Like you can't.
It's frustrating. Like that room with those fucking blue Minotaur things. God, it drives me crazy. And you just have that tiny little sword. And my favorite thing about this whole game, as far as the combat controls go, is the laser.
Yeah.
When your health is full.
Yeah.
But dude, you go into some of these tough rooms, and you're like, my whole strategy is to just like, I'm like, I cannot get hit. Like just like
I need my
shuck
laser
and dive
sword.
because if I get hit and lose this beam, I'm boned. Because like you go from being able to attack like a quarter of the screen across, or I don't remember how long it shoots, doesn't matter. But you lose the ability to attack from a distance, and now you literally have to be half an inch away from a guy to hurt him. You know what I mean? And at any point he might walk toward you, and like you said, if he hits you, he's going to take about 3 hearts, and you need to hit him 6 times until you start upgrading your equipment.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
That said, like boss fights were like the fun part as opposed to like sometimes the dungeons were the worst part of because you'd be fighting so many of these tough guys.
Yeah,
but the bosses were at least interesting. Like there's like a puzzle there that you're like, oh, I'm going to figure this thing out.
I love the boss fights in this game. Yeah.
Like they even introduced the thing that was then used in Ocarina of like feed the Dodongo a bomb.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah. Like I can't believe how long it took me to figure that out in this one.
Yeah.
Before I was like, dude, how many Zelda games have you fucking played? You know, just to put a bomb in front of it, it's gonna eat the bomb.
If you just got a bomb now, and
I love that laser. Did you ever watch the cartoon?
No.
No? Because remember they had the Super Mario Brothers Super Show?
Yep.
But then every once in a while they would do his Legend of Zelda one.
Yeah.
And I always hated it when it was the Legend because I wanted to watch the Super Mario one. But I was like, I would watch the Zelda one. And Link was like a...
Is that the one with the, excuse me, princess?
Yeah. Excuse me. And he was almost like Peter Venkman. If Peter Venkman was fucking... this mid-ancient fucking hero.
Yeah.
But the one thing I loved about that cartoon is they took the sound effect of his laser.
Oh,
like
really?
I can hear that sound effect to this, like playing it, like the like I don't know how to even make it, but like I love that. Like honestly, I know it probably would have made the game too easy, but like I would have loved this game so much more if you always had the laser, even if you were getting hit,
or given more of an option to use it more often.
Yeah, or maybe you had like a magic meter that ran down. You know what I mean? Like I can't believe Nintendo didn't think of all this stuff when they were making this game.
These lazy assholes.
Fucking guys just turning out these like shareware video games. But I do. I just I don't know. I just every time I was playing it, I enjoyed it more with the laser part of the sword. Once I lost my laser, I wasn't mad, but I would honestly like
It's tricky, yeah.
It gets so much harder, and especially near the end of the game, I would find myself like leaving and going to other rooms where easier bad guys trying to refill my meter so that I could.
Especially like when arrows were powered by your rupees.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't
so
have a stock of arrows. Yeah.
And there'd like be like the one I'm thinking like there's like these knight characters that were only vulnerable by like the arrows being shot at them.
Yeah.
And they have a big sword in front of them. So it's like, well, how you have to burn all your money trying to kill these guys.
And like I mean, it's not impossible. Zelda games have always been famous for if you just want to walk around and look long enough, you can get all the rupees you need.
Yeah.
But this one, I found it like at points, I found this game very grindy.
Yeah.
Like I needed a better shield, the magic shield or whatever. Or because I will say, as much as we say the shields are useless, when you upgrade your shield to the larger one, and then you can block the laser shots from people, like that's a godsend.
Yeah.
Like. Or like the potions.
I was talking about like the shield at the start. Where
That
like,
first one's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And then like the potions, you could carry 2 potions around to fill up your health. And like I would find myself, I'd have to go walk around and grind to raise up enough rupees to go refill my potions before I went to the next dungeon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that kind of stuff. And I don't actually mind that. Like I'm like, if it's supposed to be like, if I like they're trying to do kind of an action-y RPG, I'm okay with a little bit of grinding.
Yeah.
Here or there. It did hit a point where like I won't lie to you, like playing it on the Switch online, I had save states, and that was nice because when I got to a dungeon, I would go in with full hearts and 2 potions, save state it, try to play it. If I died, I'm not gonna fucking walk around and grind for another hour. I'm just gonna go try again, But that's not necessarily a fault of the game. Maybe that's just me getting soft with current games having checkpoints everywhere. But I feel like a lot of Nintendo games were like that. Mega Man games were like that too.
Very, very difficult. Yeah, like. And I think that's why people don't go back and play this one. Like I wouldn't. Like I know we've talked about other games, and you go back and play it. That's why I don't necessarily say that about Zelda.
No,
like this one and the next one. Like it's kind of like if you're going to play one from the past, Link to the Past that's one you go check out. That's like the best of the overview. That kind of gameplay. It did it right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's well designed. A lot more character.
Yeah, it's funny, eh? Like, I mean, so I don't know which episode will go up when or anything, but another episode that Dave and I recorded today was Punch Out, the original NES Punch Out. And I think like that's one of those NES games where like the Super Nintendo one is awesome too, but the NES one stood up.
Yes.
The Mario NES games played just as well today as they did then.
Yeah.
Mega Man, I mean, they're hard, but the Mega Man games still play great.
Yeah.
You're right. The original Legend of Zelda, and I like this game, and I'm not going to shit on this game, and I'm going to give it a good score. You could tell that there was just like they were trying so many new things at once. You know what I mean? And Link to the Past was when they figured out how to do all those things properly, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Like there's so many new things, and you can't fault it for that.
Not at all.
Like and back in the day, this would have been the game. Like when your options are 15 games for a system.
Yeah.
That one stands out as like, oh yeah, this is something different. I can pour my time into this game. But now to like pour a few hours into this game would be like, why bother?
Yeah.
When this same formula was used in Link to the Past. Link to the Past is essentially this game in a lot of regards.
This game HD. Yeah.
Yeah, and very like with much better graphics and like a little more fleshed out story and characters and stuff.
More items, yeah.
More items.
Yeah.
That one has it figured out. So yeah, I don't think you need to go back to this one and play it.
No, it's a fun game. Like I had a great time. Like I'm happy I played through it. I finished it.
The completionist side of me would go back and play this.
Certainly.
But
having said that, I don't know if I see myself ever playing this game again. You know what I mean? I'm like, I've done it now. I can say I've played this one and put it on my resume.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm like, I don't really want to do this again. Like it was like there was just too many points where it was
go play Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
This is the vision that they
Yeah.
had for this game.
Yeah.
Is Breath of the Wild. From everything I've heard about it, is like, yes, that sounds.
That's it.
The most Zelda game.
Like, to me, that's the closing concept. That'd be the end point of this game. Is like, as fun as the original, like as cool as this game is, maybe more so than like any two video games in history, Breath of the Wild is the full coming of circle, like, you know, the full realization of what they wanted this game to be. Yep. They have a giant open world. You can pretty well do anything you want in it. In any order. There's items that do various things. You know what I mean? You can use your items on the environment and all that kind of stuff. It's so easy to like. I would love to like get my nephew or somebody who's like 12 to try playing this, and I'm sure he'd play it for about 20 minutes. He's like, "This sucks," but this game is for its time was completely revolutionary.
It's as you were saying, it's one of the most influential games, and it kind of like started the path for some of the greatest games to come afterwards.
Sure.
Like, you know, like whether it is, you know, Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild, like all of those could not have happened without this thing leading the charge.
I would make
even for other games, like from other companies.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like, I mean, and I'm sure somebody eventually would have come up with the whole open world concept.
Sure.
But like, for my money, this is the first
one.
first open world game. You know what I mean? Like, this is like
that did it well enough to
at least to like, that it's worth playing. You know what I mean? Like, you look at The Witcher, you look at Skyrim, you look at anything like that, Grand Theft Auto, any of those where it's a giant open world where you can pretty well do whatever you want, and it's like, this was that, but in the 80s. You know what I mean? This was the first real shot at it.
And with a limited capability. Like, it's, you know, making games for the Nintendo was notoriously difficult because you always had to restrict everything.
Yeah.
And think of how much it's in that game that you can do. Yeah. That's like, they push the limits of that system in order to get that open world concept.
Sure.
As good as you probably could at that time.
And I, you know, just thinking about it right now, I think that one of the things that makes this game as iconic and influential as it is the fact that, like, not only did it in a way kickstart the open world concept, it also launched one of the most iconic franchises in gaming history. Like, it did both. If it had done one or the other, people would be like, dude, that's the first Zelda game. Or, dude, that's the first open world game. But the fact that it's both of those things, do you know what I mean? Like,
that it reminds me of like Punch Out. Punch Out, yes, it had like a couple of sequels, but this turned into a franchise that's still consistently making good games now.
Yeah. Like, I mean, when you, like, I don't care what anybody says. Like, when you think of the NES, it's too, like, that Nintendo, dude, with that
it was like Mario and then Zelda.
It is. With that one console, they basically saved the video game industry because it was dying. Yeah. And they launched Mario and Zelda, which I don't care whether you're a Nintendo fanboy or you despise Nintendo. Nobody would not have both of those franchises on the 5 greatest franchises in gaming history list. They both have to be. Yeah. They launched both of them on the console that saved gaming. You know. Yeah. That's really. I never really thought about it like that before. That's really cool. Like, that's really special. You know?
Nintendo is a linchpin for the video game.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting, like, what would have happened if Nintendo didn't happen? You know, like, would video games be in existence? Would they be at that same point as we are now?
Yeah, I've thought that too. Like, would we just play arcade games and pinball? Like, or would somebody have come along? Because, like, I mean, Sega, PlayStation, Microsoft, all those companies they all still sing Nintendo's praises to this day. I know they're all competitive. Sega's not, but I know that there's competition and stuff like that. Yeah. But everyone says, like, Nintendo's, like, the gaming industry needs Nintendo. Like, they have to be there, right? Yeah. And this was the stuff that set that table. Yeah. Really cool stuff, man. So what would you give the original Legend of Zelda? That's a tricky one.
If we're oh boy.
By today. If you reviewed it today.
Then it's, well, boy. I think instead of giving it a rating, I think it's like, don't bother playing.
Fair enough.
Don't bother playing, but it's it's still like important. Like it's like I like this game. If I had it, I think I would sit down. I would like to go through and play it, but I wouldn't recommend it to somebody who's never heard or never ever played this game. If you've never played it, don't bother playing it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, if you were trying to get someone,
I would play it again.
Yeah, if you were trying to get someone into gaming or trying to get someone into Zelda, this isn't the title to do it with.
Yeah.
At this point, there's two reasons to play this game now. It's for nostalgia, because you grew up with it, or it's for a history lesson. Yeah.
A completionist. Like, I'm going to play all Zelda games. Okay.
Right, that's it. You know, or go back, try it once so you can partake in the history of Zelda, but then be like, all right, let's go play Link to the Past now.
Or if I was doing the thing of like, oh, I'm going to play through the timeline.
Fuck that fucking timeline. Fuck, you could do a whole episode on that timeline. I'll give it a 7.
Yeah.
Because I really did play it for the first time months ago, and I had fun, but I'll never play it again.
Yeah.
There's just better options out there for this style of game now. Even if you don't want to play Zelda, like there's better Zelda games, but there are just better open world exploring top-down 8-bit game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just everything in this game has been done better since.
Yeah.
It just deserves a tip of the cap because what it is.
It's the first.
It's the first one.
Yeah.
Dope. Well, thanks for doing that. I hope Zelda. I guarantee you, there's 2 or 3 Zelda nerds listening to this right now. They're like,
"How dare they suggest don't play it?"
They're saying not to play Zelda. Your game sucks. There. Good. Thanks, buddy.
No problem.
That's going to do it for this week's episode, you guys. David, thank you so much for coming over and talking Zelda with me. Thank all of you so much for listening. I know I mentioned it off the top and talked about it forever, but if you enjoyed the show, please leave us a good review. Shoot me a message on the Instagram or on the Twitter or on the Facebook, whatever, wherever you can, and I will try my best to read them on here. Those comments mean the world to me, so thank you all so much. Thanks for downloading, you guys. We're creeping up on 5,000 really fast, so that's awesome. And that's it, guys. I loved it. I love this episode. I love this podcast. I like most of you guys. We'll be back next week with episode 40. We're talking wrestling. It's WrestleMania. It'll probably be the last wrestling episode for a while, but my buddy Andre, wrestling super nerd, is back, and we're going to dip into the I almost gave it all away. It's a SmackDown game on the PS2 that everybody loves. You guys all know which one it is if you're a wrestling game fan. But that'll be in 7 days. For now, play some Zelda, play some video games, take it easy, and I will check in with you guys again in a week. Thanks for listening. Bye. Cheers. Whatever.